My child isn't talking. In part 2, you learned a little more about Justin as a toddler and some of the challenges his family faced during the early months of his life. Let's look at the years before entering school, as Justin is now a mobile and energetic toddler. Sleepless nights and sleepy days. Justin's years from age 2 to 4 were full of energy, visits to the doctor, and many nights awake. Justin, like many children with Down syndrome, has problems with sleep apnea. Not only did this influence his general mood during the day, it also had a profound effect on learning. Justin would often fall asleep during the day or would be irritable for unknown reason until later he just falls asleep. Sometimes in the middle of an activity. When Justin began pre-K, this became a problem for learning tasks. The teachers noticed that some days Justin was just a little off and began to keep a log. This coincided with nights of little sleep due to an ear infection or many times of waking during the night. Keeping Justin's interests. Many children with developmental disorders have difficulty engaging with their caregivers or peers in joint communication or joint attention. However, like Justin, children like Justin with DS respond to intervention at an early age and can be seen to respond and develop these joint attention communication skills. Justin was excited to share many things with his mom, dad, and grandparents. However, often teachers and specialists had to guess what would interest and engage him during an educational activity after starting pre-K. To provide more interesting and relevant learning experiences, a teacher sent home an interest inventory for mom to send back. This valuable information provided teachers and specialists with insight as to what would spark interest for Justin and draw him into a learning task or speech intervention. Once the teachers knew that Justin enjoyed kinetic and musical learning styles, they were able to incorporate more of these types of activities into the day. Who took a bite of that apple? Teaching Justin how to ask for things during his toddler years rather than take anything he wanted proved to be a challenge. Because he was nonverbal, he would often gesture, look at something and begin to mumble, or take a hand and get a person, take their hand, and lead them to what he needed or wanted. Then it was still a guessing game. More common for Justin was just taking whatever he saw and wanted and was within his reach. His parents and grandparents reported often finding food such as an apple or Pop-Tart with a single bite taken out of it on the counter or in the fridge. Many children with Down syndrome have difficulty requesting what they need due to delays in expressive language skills. However, many children with DS have responded to early intervention teaching nonverbal toddlers and pre-K students alternative methods of communication, or by using assistive technology to communicate. Typically developing children by this age, 3 years, are able to carry on a conversation using a few sentences and understand positional words like in, on, and under. What a charmer! Social skills are one of the strengths of children with DS. Were evident very early as Justin became more mobile, walking, and then soon after running everywhere. Justin was curious and loved to examine things closely. Justin's parents attempted to have his eyes checked, fearing that he was unable to see well. However, due to the lack of expressive communication skills, the vision test was inconclusive. Because Justin was very social early, he was a charmer with everyone. It was important to watch him closely because he would befriend anyone, anywhere. He also tended to run away from unwanted tasks in pre-K to the point of escaping class to find his favorite specialist. The strong socialization was both endearing and a danger in a wrong circumstance. Rabbi Dalgo, huh? At home, Justin's parents and grandparents continued to provide rich stimulation through educational toys, reading often to Justin, and providing educational outings and trips when possible. However, Justin was still not talking by the time he entered pre-K at a special school where children geared toward children with needs, including mental and physical delays, language delays, and self-care needs. Like others with DS, Justin's receptive vocabulary was quite large at this time and to continue to grow much faster than his expressive skills. In a small self-contained classroom of 6 to 8 students of similar needs, Justin participated in speech therapy sessions daily, literacy interventions, including phonetic songs, tactile experience with text, while his peers at pre-K are able to talk about familiar things, say their name and age and gender. Justin is still unable to speak more than his very animated babble. Jump! Jump! You gotta jump! 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 Jump, jump, jump! Jump! There you go! Justin's abilities as far as motor skills and cognitive functioning did not seem to correlate with the severity of his speech impairment and the lack of response to speech therapy. Justin, by the age of 3, began to babble rapidly. He seemed to be expressing specific instructions or ideas, retaining eye contact, and making gestures. Then he would become frustrated when the communication partner did not understand what he was saying and would become distressed. This babble increased after enrollment in preschool. Teachers also noticed that his cognitive functioning seemed to indicate that he understood a lot more than he was able to express. The school where he was placed was for lower cognitive functioning students, and the parents and teachers felt it was that a different setting could be appropriate for Justin. Just because he couldn't speak did not mean his cognitive functioning was also severely delayed. Justin was able to follow simple two-step instructions, while his peers were able to follow instructions with 2 or 3 steps, indicating that Justin may have hidden abilities that are unable to be expressed. He was especially responsive to visual supports, such as picture representations of stop, like the stop signs in schools where children need to stop and line up. Using visual supports to present information is often more effective when teaching children with Down syndrome. Alternative communication. His parents and teachers began to look into alternative methods of communication, such as assistive technology or American Sign Language. Justin was very skilled on the computer and other electronic devices, so a device that could help him communicate seemed to be a viable solution. But by the end of his preschool year, a new plan was in place to change schools, look into alternative communication methods, and to retest Justin's cognitive abilities. More to come. In part 4, I'll talk about Justin's first year of school and his advancement toward language and literacy.